Wolfe Glick is back with a brand new creation, and he just finished second place at the Indianapolis Regional Championships with a unique dual mega pairing of Mega Tyranitar and Mega Steelix. Dragon Dance Mega Tyranitar is very well positioned in the metagame right now, threatening Charizard Y Whimsicott teams, and Steelix is a really nice counterpart to pair with Tyranitar, as it can be very powerful into teams with Mega Floette and Fairy types in general. The team also has supportive Rotom Wash and Sinistra, which makes for a really difficult defensive core to break through, and I'm so excited to try out the team today. Hey guys, Aaron CybertronZang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the Pokemon Champions VGC ladder and provide live commentary as I go. I knew that I had to try Wolfe's Mega Tyranitar Mega Steelix team as soon as Indianapolis Regionals ended, so I decided to take it to the Champions ladder and see how many games in a row I could win with it. Turns out, team is pretty darn good, so the result was also pretty darn good. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd appreciate it if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's get started. If you're interested in trying out the team for yourself, Wolfe has uploaded a replica ID as well as a team report on his Patreon, which I'll link down in the description below. Of course, this is a team that features the unique combination of Mega Steelix and Mega Tyranitar. I would say that it is more of a Mega Tyranitar team, but Steelix can patch up matches that Tyranitar doesn't love going up against and can be brought as a regular standalone Pokemon outside of Mega Evolution. Steelix's ability before you Mega Evolve, of course, is sturdy, which means that as a normal Pokemon, it can still provide good damage with Heavy Slam and high horsepower, and Wide Guard can protect you from spread moves. You've got a lot of incredible support on the team, with Rotom and Sinistra being the two primary members. Rotom Wash is really well placed in the metagame right now because there aren't that many strong grass-type attackers, so it's often able to get a Will-O-Wisp and a Light Screen off, really disrupting teams and allowing Tyranitar to set up. Sinistra is designed on this team to keep switching in for healing, making your Tyranitar that much more difficult to actually knock out quickly. Sneasler here provides you with some fast fake-out pressure and of course can deal lots of damage. Incineroar is a Pokemon that can do quite nicely into Tyranitar by intimidating it multiple times, so Sneasler can match up well against opposing Incineroars. The Talonflame is a unique set with Sharp Beak and Sword Stance, and this is designed to really give certain Pokemon trouble. For example, at +2 with Brave Bird and Sharp Beak, you can get a lot of knockouts and threaten a lot of Pokemon, opposing grass types in particular like Sinistra and Mega Venusaur. This can be a really valuable Pokemon used to break through instant Sinistra healing and cycling, and also can be a Pokemon that can deal with bulky grass types that otherwise the rest of the team might struggle a little bit against. So I know that when people look at this team, they look a lot at the Steelix specifically, but Mega Tyranitar is honestly a huge star of it, and specifically the Dragon Dance. You can often get 2 or 3 Dragon Dances off even with this Tyranitar, thanks to all the support that you have with Rotom, with Fake Out support, with Sinistra, and then Tyranitar can often just sweep through teams. Steelix, of course, very good into teams that primarily rely on physical damage, and when the sand is up, can threaten with a lot of one-hit knockouts, especially valuable into Fairy types like Mega Floette in particular. So really excited to get the team a spin. In terms of playing with the team, I think that the team has a lot of flexibility overall, but here are some modes that you can go with. The first is Sneasler plus Rotom. The idea behind this lead is that you can set up with Light Screen and also spread burns early, making it easier for Tyranitar to set up once it hits the field. It's not uncommon for you to, say, lose a Pokemon, but then really heavily get your opponent's field weakened, allowing you to get a free Dragon Dance off. Once Tyranitar gets that Dragon Dance off, it becomes a really big threat, and you can have Sinistra to swap in and out for further healing. Another combo that you can go with is actually Tyranitar and Steelix with Talonflame and Sinistra in the back. You can lead this to immediately set up the sand for Steelix, allowing it to threaten with a lot of damage, and you can flex your Mega Evolution based on your opponent's Mega of choice. I find this to be a pretty strong combination, especially when your opponent has dual Mega, for example, something like Charizard and Floette. Going with this combo allows you to cover for both of them, right? And the good thing about this duo is that you really can play with either Pokemon, even if it's not in a Mega form. And so this lead means obviously that you won't be able to Mega both, but it gives you flexibility based on what you see from your opponent's lead. Talonflame is often a strong Pokemon in the back with this to be able to also potentially switch in and get up a Sword Stance, and Sinistra, of course, is valuable for healing. Feels like Sinistra is a really core piece with this team because all the Pokemon really appreciate healing, especially Rotom, Tyranitar, and Steelix, so it is a really flexible brain. Rotom and Tyranitar is another lead that I really like if your opponent does not have ways to immediately threaten Tyranitar with a one-hit knockout. So I'm talking things like Sneasler with Close Combat, or Adaptability, Mystic Water, Wave Crash from Basket Legion paired with Tailwind. Those can both be pretty spooky. So if your opponent's team does not have things like an immediately pressure Tyranitar, Rotom can often just start weakening your opponent's side while Tyranitar starts setting up. Then Sinistcha can come in and heal up the Tyranitar once it's soaked up some damage, and ideally you've already gotten 1 or 2 Dragon Dances off and can start sweeping from there. Sneasler is pretty popular as a back pick here because it gives you additional fake out. So it's like you use Rotom to disrupt your opponent, Tyranitar gets set up, Sneasler comes in, fake out, Tyranitar maybe even gets another Dragon Dance off, then the Sinistcha can come in and start healing Tyranitar back up. Sneasler and Tyranitar with Steelix and Sinistcha is also a viable mode. This allows you to pressure with Fake Out and Dragon Dance immediately. Steelix can be brought if, of course, your opponent's team has Pokemon that take heavy damage from it. So we saw Wolfe actually do this on stream against in our Chaladon Rain team, where he used Steelix to basically get a one-hit knockout onto our Chaladon. But if you find that your opponents don't really have that many Pokemon are weak to the Steelix, then I think replacing this with Rotom or Talonflame is certainly viable as well. But the idea is that Sneasler plus Tyranitar means that you can Fake Out, start Dragon Dancing immediately, and then start dishing out massive amounts of damage. So with that Fake Out pressure, it helps the Tyranitar set up a little bit more easily. In terms of weaknesses and things to watch out for, here are a couple of things that I think can give you some trouble if you're using the team. First of all, fighting type coverage in general for Tyranitar is always valuable, and especially when it's on Pokemon that you're not confident will run a fighting type attack. So especially in the closed team sheet best of one ladder format, sometimes Tyranitar just gets randomly sniped and either gets one-shot or takes way too much damage from things like low kick King Gambit, or a Sphere Chaladon, or low kick Dragonite. And of course, if you're up against even more non-meta Pokemon that have fighting type attacks, that can be scary as well. What makes these tricky sometimes is you want to assume that they have fighting type attacks, but then you have to play a lot more carefully, versus the open team sheet format where you know exactly where the true coverage into Tyranitar lies. But I found that sometimes I've just randomly gotten my Tyranitar knocked out. I don't cover for all of these fighting type attacks, and it can feel a little bit scary. Talonflame is a really important member of this team, so if you lose it too quickly in key matchups, you'll often be at a major deficit. Specifically, I'm talking about matchups like Komodo, Mega Venusaur, Incineroar, Sinistcha, plus M-Floette. These are all matches where Talonflame can be a really important member. You get that Swords Dance off and you just start Brave Birding left and right. So if you either lose Talonflame too quickly in these matchups or just don't bring Talonflame outright, you will often be at a big disadvantage. Talonflame was the final member added to this team, and it was specifically to give you coverage into things like this. Physical reduction damage is obviously going to be really disruptive as well. So Reflect, Will-O-Wisp, and Intimidate all are going to slow down your damage output. So Pokemon like Incineroar, opposing Rotom Wash, and Sableye can be disruptive because, of course, they can threaten you with damage reduction. And if you do, for example, get Tyranitar burnt or Steelix burnt, then your damage is just so much lower, and it's difficult to often knock your opponent's Pokemon out quickly enough. Finally, some watchouts for you to pay attention to. I think that with this team, you do often bring both Megas, and obviously when you bring both Megas, you can only choose one of the two to Mega. So be careful about committing to one Mega too early, because sometimes when that happens, it will put you at a pretty big deficit if you committed to the wrong Mega evolution. Steelix is also, I think, just quite weak if it's not a Mega form versus regular Tyranitar potentially still having value after getting a Dragon Dance up, so keep that in mind. I also have had Mega Tyranitar get sniped by Jolly Scarf Basculegion after a Dragon Dance, and so just keep that in mind, right? A lot of people use Adamant Basculegion, but Jolly is something that is strong as well, and so sometimes Tyranitar will need multiple speed boosts in order to outpace opposing Pokemon, right? +2 is a good benchmark if you're not obviously up against anything with Tailwind, and if your opponent does have Tailwind, then getting to +3 often puts you at a deficit or a break point where basically even with Tailwind up, you'll still be outpacing their teams. So just keep all of these in mind as you play against the team. Okay, we've got Sableye Arch with Skarmory, M-Scovillain, Gambit, and the Cleaver. Ideally, I think we eliminate the M-Scovillain early, so then T-Tar Exca can do well. If we want to eliminate M-Scovillain, I think Talonflame is going to be really important. If I go Sneasler, Talonflame, T-Tar Exca, it's just all physical damage, which I don't know if I love. I like Talonflame. Thinking Talonflame Rotom. Could be Talonflame Sneasler. But I like Rotom more. Talonflame Rotom, T-Tar Excadrill. Not Excadrill, Steelix. This was an interesting one. I feel like all our Pokemon work. M-Scovillain is just what I'm most spooked about, so I want to bring two things that match up okay into it. I also could use regular Tyranitar to beat M-Scovillain and then Mega Steelix afterwards, right? Be Cleaver plus Scovillain, which is pretty scary. If I were them, I'd probably protect Scovillain turn 1. I don't know if Burning Cleaver really does that much for us anyway. I want to protect Talonflame here. Could be Scarf Cleaver, so I'm down to protect Hydro turn 1. The question I have is the Scovillain moveset. Do you have something like Leaf Storm to just burst Rotom down? Because theoretically, they could double up onto Rotom with something like Stone Axe plus Giga Drain or Leaf Storm. And I also could have just gone Brave Bird immediately, but I think if I Brave Bird into Protect, that's obviously quite bad. They just end up Rage Powdering. Okay. Stone Axe into Talonflame. Okay, great. We don't miss. Good damage. Spicy Spray. Now the question is, does Scovillain protect this turn, right? Feels like it's a good opportunity for it to do so. Yeah, I'm leaning actually switch T-Tar in here. Hydro Cleaver. Because I think this is going to be a Mega Steelix game anyway. So now that I've gotten that damage on a Scovillain, I can put you in KO range. They actually switch, which makes sense. Arch? Yeah, that's fine. Stone Axe. It's a good bit of damage. Hydro hits. Okay. I think maybe better to just attack with Talonflame there, but I wanted to save Talonflame to deal with Scovillain potentially. But now the Stealth Rocks are up, so it's kind of awkward. Just curious if they brought back Sableye, because it could be back Gambit. I'm leaning going for knockoff into Cleaver here. Light Screen. Cleaver switches. Okay, maybe back out into Scovillain. Nope, it's Sableye. Okay. It's fine. Does so much damage. Nice. Gets rid of a Citrus Berry. Light Screen's now also set up. I think Steelix is looking quite good as we get closer to the end game. And with Light Screen and Sandstorm, I survived that. Brilliant. So I think the main thing right now is that my opponent could Rain Dance, right? Like Rain Dance Electroshot, for example. I want to get rid of Sableye, and I want to make sure we have the Sand Up in this game. If I switch in Steelix immediately, then they could bring Scovillain out, pressure us with Overheat. I'd probably Rain Dance Electroshot into the Rotom. But you know what? I don't hate switching in Steelix right now and then getting rid of Sableye with Thunderbolt. I just think like we don't want our Chaladon to get more than one Electroshot off max in this game, right? So if we knock out Sableye here, even if they set up Rain Dance, then I can rechange the weather to Sand. They go for Encore. Okay. It's a little bit disruptive, but that's fine. My main question is whether or not they have Will-O-Wisp. Like, I would expect Rain Dance. Because basically our best bet in dealing with our Chaladon is just getting a high horsepower into it. Like, I might... thinking about double switching here. It's a good Encore. Maybe I should have double switched last turn. It wouldn't be shocked for them to Rain Dance here. I think I'm going to Mega High Horsepower switch in Talonflame right now. Okay. Yep, it is going to be Rain Dance. That's fine. Electro Shot, yep. Knocks Talonflame out. Does so much damage. Wow. Okay, we know they have... I mean, I could bring Tyranitar back in immediately here. They could Rain Dance again. I honestly don't mind bringing Rotom out because I think we can just Hydro Pump Arch. Heavy Slam Sableye. Hydro Pump Arch. We can take advantage of their rain right now in our Chaladon's special defense. Arch protects, which makes sense. They disable high horsepower, which is smart. So it's what? Encore, disable, Rain Dance, plus a fourth move with Citrus Berry. So I get Weather Control now, right? I can switch in Tyranitar, but we probably have to switch Steelix out, which is awkward. It's also still a question of the M-Scovillain moveset to me, because if M-Scovillain comes out, I can just Hydro Pump it. Which is what I lean towards. But they bring Cleaver out. Cleaver. Cleaver's not a big threat to Steelix, admittedly, so I kind of want to double up onto... Do I want to double up on an Arch here? Because T-Tar might be faster than it. I just don't know if a Hydro Pump KOs Cleaver or Arch from this range. But yeah, I think I'm happy to split it here. I don't want to change the weather right now, because it makes Hydro Pump weaker. Pretty intense game, honestly. Super back and forth. They have close combat, but that's fine. We'll survive that. Yeah. Okay. Rotom has Hydro Pump. It is faster than Arch. And that's a KO. Nice. That crit probably mattered. Like, I think we were in fine shape there, but obviously we just win the game immediately off of that, I think. They would have gotten an Electro Shot off, presumably, to knock out Rotom, or an attack into Arch. If they had Aura Sphere, then the crit really matters, because you could double up onto Steelix with Close Combat Aura Sphere for a knockout, potentially. So, yeah. So the Hydro Pump calc against our Chaladon is very dependent on the spread that it's running. I think like the more optimal spread for our Chaladon right now is something like max HP, max special defense. Some people run Calm, some other people run Modest, for example. But either way, if they are max, then we don't get the knockout ever. But for example, if they're Modest, max special attack, max HP, limited special defense investment or none, then actually is a guaranteed knockout. That being said, I normally expect our Chaladons to run a lot of special defense investments. So I think like the crit definitely gave us a big advantage. One of the other things to think about is also on turn 1 of the game, like I could have just gone Brave Bird and tried to knock out M-Scovillain immediately. I also could have tried to just Brave Bird the Cleaver when I had the opportunity to on turn 2, for example. So I actually think that matchup was pretty difficult because Mega M-Scovillain's really annoying in being able to burn both of our main attackers, and our Chaladon with the rain setup actually can be fairly disruptive as well. It was kind of hard to find the right positioning for it, right? So we managed to get a win, but that critical hit definitely helped out a lot. I think it was still playable without it, but it would have been a lot more challenging. I think we got a Mega Heracross team here, which is sick. It is a, like, basically almost entirely physically based team, so I feel like Steelix could have put in a lot of work here, even though it faces super effective damage. Rotom for Will-O-Wisp is intriguing. Like, I'm thinking Rotom. The other thing is we could use Talonflame and basically break our own Gale Wings to make Brave Bird work. They don't have any flying resistances, so Talonflame is intriguing. I do think I need like Rotom or T-Tar to deal with the Cyberledge. Rotom lead. What could stop Rotom? Like Sneasler, Garchomp maybe? Kind of down for this. I think Talonflame maybe should be brought into this one, mainly because Brave Bird is really good into Heracross as well as Sneasler. But I want to try this out. Someone in my comments recently said they made it a champion tier with Mega Heracross and Mega Chandelure, which I think is super neat. Okay, they go with the Sneasler plus Farigiraf, which I'm okay with. I think turn 1, I honestly don't mind going for Will-O-Wisp here. Mega and Heavy Slam into Sneasler. If you close combat Steelix, it obviously do a lot of damage, but we'll be able to take it. And then I can switch in Sinistcha and start healing back up. Helping Hand close combat is probably the scariest combo right now. I also don't want to switch in Tyranitar yet, because if I set up, or if I bring in Tyranitar, they close combat that slot, then I just lose it immediately. But yeah, one interesting thing I could have done was like lead Talonflame, Tyranitar in the back, switch Tyranitar in to break Talonflame's Gale Wings, and then Brave Bird into Sneasler the following turn. Okay, they just rip close combat immediately, but Steelix is bulky and can take it, so we survive. No White Herbs, I'm guessing they're Focus Sash, but this double up then just knocks them out. Yeah, they split their damage, but not like they would have been able to do too much to Steelix there anyway. Interesting, they weren't White Herb or Sashed. What was the item? That's kind of surprising to me, but I'll take it. Heracross now, I think, becomes interesting. They do bring it out. So the main thing about Heracross is that it obviously gets access to a bunch of solid moves. I think I don't mind switching in Sinistcha here and just protecting this turn with Steelix. Could Bullet Seed into Rotom, close combat into Steelix. I want to scout out for its moves, but Sinistcha feels like a decently safe switch in here either way. The other play I thought about was switching Steelix out into Sinistcha and then burning the Heracross with Will-O-Wisp. Protect. Yeah, it's Bullet Seed. But Seed doesn't really do that much damage. Could have attacked with Steelix there, but I think always good to just scout out. Especially given that we're not actually that offensively threatened with Sinistcha. And they Psychic. Okay, cool. I can go to Trick Room now, honestly. Question is, like, do we think they're going to go for a fighting type attack into Steelix when I can easily Rage Powder, right? Like, Rage Powder Heavy Slam here does feel somewhat safe. They actually switch Heracross out immediately. Okay. Into Garchomp, that's fine. Yeah, I might consider Trick Rooming this next turn then. Citrus activates. That does so much damage. That's sick. They could Dragon Claw, they could Earthquake. I have Wide Guard, obviously. Dragon Claw Psychic double up into Sinistcha is the play I'd be worried about then. Like, the play I would want to make here is just Trick Room and Protect. But they also would then have to Earthquake their own Farigiraf. So I actually think maybe the play I like most is Protect Sinistcha, switch Rotom in right now. See what they go for. They are going to Earthquake themselves. Cool. Nice. That's why we switch in the Rotom. Covers for every ground type attack in that slot, and it also covers for Dragon Claw, right? So, quick Psychic into the Rotom. Okay. It's fine by me, because I think now what I can do is pressure with Trick Room and Hydro Pump, right? You can only knock out one of my two slots. You either knock out Sinistcha or Rotom, but not both. Garchomp protects. Cool. That works for me. Are they just Psychicking again? Yeah. Great. Now we get Trick Room up. With Trick Room up, Steelix under Trick Room should just be able to get a one-hit knockout in Sand against all of these. So that's very good for us. But Farigiraf obviously can reverse Trick Room right now. I think here I'm happy to go for a Mancha Gotcha, though, and switch Tyranitar in. Because I could see them going for Psychic into Rotom. Sinistcha is actually very good with Mancha Gotcha into my opponent's team right now. If I were my opponent, maybe I would, yeah, Psychic into Rotom, try to get a knockout onto it, Dragon Claw with Garchomp. Yep, perfect. Oh my gosh, that's so much damage. It was a crit on Farigiraf. But yeah, it's now kind of a Steelix waiting room as well. And they're going to Earthquake again, so they're going to potentially KO their own Farigiraf. Nope, survives on 2%. But that means they didn't reverse Trick Room this turn, which means Farigiraf just faints. Yeah. Cool. So now we kind of just wait for Steelix to come out. Obviously, there's Heracross back. And here we can just go for a Rage Powder knockoff into Garchomp. Like, I think Steelix honestly probably won't even... Well, no, we still needed to eventually KO Heracross. I was going to say it won't hit the field, but... I'm not going to knock out the Heracross that quickly. Okay, so it's slower than Tyranitar, which makes sense. Mega Heracross's base speed is actually quite low. It's base 75. Actually slows down from base 85 to 75 after Megaing. But we just knock out Garchomp here. Nice. And I think my opponent basically felt pressure to bring Farigiraf, likely to protect Sneasler and Heracross from Brave Bird, which makes a lot of sense. They end up forfeiting. But what I could have done was just Rage Powder Sneeze or Rage Powder Sinistcha, switch Tyranitar out into Steelix, then Heavy Slam in the following turn. So I think Farigiraf was here, yeah, to try to protect the Pokemon that were weak to Talonflame, but then Steelix was able to kind of just start the game off with a lot of damage, right? And that's the thing about Steelix. Like, yes, it's weak to close combat, it's weak to high horsepower, it's weak to Earthquake in these attacks, but they're not one-shotting you, so you can often actually take decent trades with it because you'll survive, get a knockout in return, and then Sinistcha with healing is so nice. And, like, we played Steelix without the sand up in this game, right? And it was able to basically knock out Sneasler after the defense drop and do 65% to Garchomp. So this Pokemon's a beast even outside of sand. Basculegion, Talonflame, King Gambit, Farigiraf, Floette, Garchomp. Rotom looks good. Steelix looks really good, given that it's the sole Mega team. I guess it could be Mega Garchomp, but either way. Like, Rotom, T-Tar, Steelix, Sinistcha, I think. Sneasler is viable here, right? It does give me close combat in Dire Claw, but it's quite weak into Talonflame, and because of Farigiraf blocking Fake Out, it becomes scarier as well. So I definitely like leading Rotom. Pressuring with Burns immediately. And part of me is actually just thinking leading Steelix right away. Because if they lead Floette, we immediately have knockout pressure onto it. And they don't have redirection here. Tyranitar's still good, obviously, as regular T-Tar here into Talonflame and Farigiraf with Rock Slide and Knockoff. Okay. I think this is a really good lead for us because I can just go Light Screen turn 1, which is guaranteed. Like, the question here is whether or not Floette decides, hey, I'm going to stay in, because if you're my opponent, what I would do is probably protect Floette or even switch out into, say, Gambit, Basculegion, or Garchomp on turn 1. Like, I just think because Floette's so threatened by Steelix here, the debate is basically, do they try to maybe just go for Light of Ruin on turn 1, right? I think it's still safe to go Light Screen Heavy Slam here, right? Because Heavy Slam is guaranteed damage. They are going to stay in Mega Floette, so nice. Like, I didn't want to over-predict on turn 1 and say, oh, like, surely you're going to have to switch out, right? And I'm going to Will-O-Wisp that slot. But with Light Screen, it's at least guaranteed unless they go for, like, Light of Ruin. If you Light of Ruin me, then I knock you out in return. And I don't think that's that bad of a trade, right? Because then Steelix just doesn't take any damage, and you're basically going to be mainly physical damage in the back. It is Light of Ruin. Okay. That makes sense. So it does one-shot Rotom. It's actually a pretty good trade for my opponent then at the end of the day, I would say. Psychic comes out. Gets a little bit of damage onto us. We knocked out Floette. Okay. Garchomp as a switch-in would make sense here. Could be Basculegion. I'm thinking Sinistcha here, because by bringing Sinistcha out, I thread in Trick Room immediately, and they do bring in Garchomp, which is good, okay? I think the main question here is, do I Trick Room? Because it's fairly obvious. Like, Farigiraf could reverse Trick Room right now, but honestly, I think I'm still down for Trick Room and Heavy Slam into Garchomp. Because I could also see Farigiraf protecting here. Helping Hand Earthquake's another option. It's going to be Stomping. Okay. Doesn't even do half. That's nuts. Looks like they are reversing my Trick Room, so nicely done. Citrus or nah? Ooh, it's Roar. Okay, neat. That is super cool. You could Stomping again, but I could switch back into Sinistcha to heal. Heavy Slam into Farigiraf. Roar is a really nice anti-Trick Room tech. Matcha Gotcha could have been pretty sweet there then. I also thought about protecting Steelix Dragon Dancing here. I think That could have been cool. Stomping into Steelix again. Okay. I don't think this KOs. Nice. Good job, Steelix. Heavy Slam. Frigg has the Citrus Berry. Okay. So here's the thing. I could attempt Trick Room again. Obviously, they've revealed Roar, so like I also could just Matcha Gotcha. But to be honest, I actually am still down to Trick Room here, I think, and Protect. Because if they Roar, it's fine. We get Tyranitar out, pressuring Knockoff and or Dragon Dance. The reason I'm interested in Dragon Dancing is because I think it might be Basculegion as the final one, right? So, yep, and they Protect. Beautiful. All right, fantastic. It's one of those where it's like, I feel like once you reveal Roar, my opponent knows I know, right? So they're probably thinking, well, surely you're going to cover it for it this time around. But I think even in a situation in which they Roar, it is not the end of the world, right? And I just think like they're going to expect me to not just try to Trick Room again. And now, so it pays off really heavily. Beautiful. I am happy to go for just Matcha Gotcha now. I mean, if King Gambit is their last one, it's actually still really interesting, I think. So I think we high horsepower to cover for a Gambit switch in. I would think it's Basculegion, and if it's Basculegion, then... Okay, nice. High horsepower comes out, one shots, and now it's single target Matcha Gotcha, which might just KO Garchomp by itself. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now we get to use Steelix to just crush whatever the final one is, I think. So what do we got? Basculegion? It was King Gambit. Wow. Okay. Well, that's why we're covering for it. Rage Powder here. High horsepower into you. Yeah, I think it's like Steelix just feels like a much stronger Mega than Tyranitar, given its matchup in a Garchomp and King Gambit in this matchup. We don't miss. Perfect. Sash? Or did it just live on one? Oh, it just naturally survives on one. Wow. But it's fine. Even if Sinisha fainted there, Tyranitar and Steelix both have enough HP to just get one attack off, right? So you just Heavy Slam knockoff into Gambit for the win. But good bulk to survive there. Yeah, end up forward footing. But I was just going to Rage Powder plus Heavy Slam. We just always Heavy Slam there, and we don't want to use moves that can miss, so High Horsepower and Matcha Gotcha can both miss, right? Rage Powder redirects a potential Sucker Punch away, and even if they manage to get through Trick Room, Tyranitar comes out, it just clicks Knockoff and wins. So Steelix was fantastic in that one. Blastoise, Farigiraf, Kangaskhan, Vivillon, Basculegion, but then now there's the M-Floette. The initial version of this team had Torkoal. Scarf Vivillon plus Fake Out Pressure can be spooky, right? But if it's Blastoise Vivillon, I can go Sneasler Talonflame. The problem is they can switch Farigiraf in. We also have Wide Guard on Steelix. But I think what I could do is like bring Talonflame, break my own Gale Wings by switching in Tyranitar, or I could just go like Talonflame Sinistra. That's kind of interesting to me. I would go Mega Blastoise if I were them. So then I'm thinking Rotom T-Tar. Okay. So Talonflame Sinistras might seem like kind of a weird lead, but it is to get around Vivillon Blastoise, right? I pressure with Brave Bird immediately and Matcha Gotcha. They do go Vivian Blastoise. Cool. I mean, honestly, like, turn one's kind of a mind game, though, because basically they can switch Blastoise out into Farigiraf, blocking Brave Bird, then Sleep Powder. They could also just, like, attack Sinistcha. They could Shell Smash as well, which is my concern here. I'm leaning towards double protecting on turn one, because I think they could also, like, just Hurricane, Dark Pulse, Sinistcha. Or switch for again. So let's see. Basically, my play with double protecting covers for every option other than Blastoise just saying, you know what, I'm going to Shell Smash immediately. And I think it's quite risky to Shell Smash immediately, because otherwise you just eat up a Matcha Gotcha from Sinistcha. So ideally we see like fake out Hurricane or fake out Sleep Powder. Yep, Hurricane. No fake out though. Water Spout. Okay, I'll take it. Now I know you're locked into Hurricane, so you can't Sleep Powder me. Which means I can just Brave Bird. They can switch in Farigiraf right now for either slot though, right? I would switch Vivian out into Farigiraf personally. Got Rotom, which will handle it well. I'm going to Flare Blitz here, expecting Farigiraf to switch in. Matcha Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Nice. That worked. Could have been a Tyranitar switch in here, though, but I wanted to cover to, like, deal damage to Blastoise, although that does do a ton of damage to me, which I don't love. Now we break our own Gale Wings, so I can go for Brave Bird as well. I do think a T-Tar switch in there would have been safer, but it's like me making kind of a harder read then, right? Because there is a world in which they don't switch out Blastoise there, and I think like Matcha Gotcha's here still heals a ton, right? Okay. So you can bring Blastoise back in. I have Tyranitar in the back. Blastoise doesn't have Protect. It's Basculegion. Okay. Basculegion can obviously last respects right now. This Farigiraf has Thunderbolt, so I would expect last respects into Sinistcha, Thunderbolt into Talonflame. But Tyranitar kind of walls Farigiraf, so I think I'm okay going Brave Bird into Basculegion. I think I don't mind Brave Birding into Basculegion, actually protecting Sinistcha. I thought about switching to Tyranitar, but I don't think it's worth risking them reading me and wave crashing into that slot. Okay, good. We break Sash and do a lot of damage here. Fantastic. Yep, last respects. And Thunderbolt, I assume? No, Psychic. Does that KO me? It does. So we have Tyranitar that I can bring out. Blastoise is in the back. Are they Jolly or are they Adamant is the question on Basculegion. I could Dragon Dance right now. But they could Last Respect Sinistra Trick Room. I'm gonna just go knock off Rage Powder here, I think. Especially knowing that we have Rotom in the back. Okay, Snee Rage Powders. Nice, we move first. Okay, cool. Knock out Basculegion, that's big. Sashed. They've got the low kick tech, but we Rage Powder and cover for it. And they actually just end up forfeiting that. I mean, I don't think the game was over yet, but I did have Rotom Wash in the back, right? So, yeah. That felt good. I think we had a solid answer to Vivian Blastoise with a kind of anti-intuitive lead that they probably didn't expect, and it put on some good pressure immediately, which was nice. So I just wanted to make a quick note on the speed dynamic there in that end game and talk about the difference of natures, because Jolly nature, as you see with Basculegion, reaches a 143 speed stat, whereas Tyranitar max speed with Jolly is 135. However, of course, if you bump this down to Adamant, which is the more common case, then it's 130 and Tyranitar is faster, right? So Basculegion most of the time runs Admin because you want that extra damage increase, but some people start to go with Jolly specifically to outspeed opposing Admin Basculegions, for example. So I wanted to just cover for that in particular. Talon, Floette, Garchomp, Basculegion, Kingambit, Cleaver. My intuition is like Dual Mega, set up Trick Room. I don't think we bring Talonflame in this one. Cleaver's kind of annoying. Sneasler can be okay, but like Talon Garchomp is maybe a lead I would anticipate from their end. So like I think something like Rotom, T-Tar, Steelix, Sinistra could be okay, is my first guess. I do think it could be Steelix over Tyranitar lead, because I could see them leading Talon Floette, which could be pretty explosive in terms of damage output. It also could be Sneasler or Rotom, right? Because it gives me Fake Out into a Light Screen immediately. I think I'm going to try Rotom T-Tar. If they go Talon Floette, that's probably the lead I'm most worried about. The other thing to respect is like fighting type damage from both Kingambit and Cleaver, because you can run low kick and close combat on both of those. So, let's see. Talon Chomp. Okay, cool. That's the lead I was hoping to see. What's interesting about this on turn one is that we have a bunch of plays, right? Like, Will-O-Wisp from Talonflame is one potential set that they could run. The other thing is, like, who do I actually want to Mega in this game, right? Because it feels like Mega Steelix might be better. So on turn one, what I actually could do is just Will-O-Wisp into Garchomp and Rock Slide immediately, which I'm down for. Okay, Garchomp just protects. Probably Tailwind? Yeah. That's fine. Getting rid of Talonflame is big because that's a big threat to Sinistra, so now Sinistra might be able to set up Trick Room more easily. I also thought about hard reading the Protect on Garchomp and going Rock Slide Light Screen, because I think what is scary now is that you get a free switch into Floette. And with Floette, I would probably Mega Evolve, Dazzling Gleam, Dragon Claw, Rotom maybe. So let's see if it's Floette coming out. Yep. So I don't mind light screening here, I think. Actually, it's still better to burn Garchomp if we can. But I just think Rotom doesn't make it through the turn, and that's okay. But I'm not convinced Dazzling Dragon Claw knocks us out either. And I don't know how essential knockoff is into Garchomp, so I'm actually down to Dragon Dance here, because there is a world in which I actually say, you know what, I am going to Mega Tyranitar. I'm still leaning towards Steelix right now, but keeping this option flexible. I expect, like, Light of Ruin, maybe, or Moonblast Dragon Claw onto Rotom. If they let me burn Garchomp, Steelix is in amazing shape. Oh, they Light of Ruin T-Tar. Nice. That's huge. I don't even really, like, need Tyranitar in this game because that's not the real Mega, but I think they were maybe hoping I would commit to it. But with Steelix in the back, this should be phenomenal for us. Yeah, they probably were predicting Rotom Protect there, but I don't even have Protect. And Rotom, thank you. You did not miss. So if they're, let's see if they're Lumberry now. If they're not Lumberry, I think Steelix can just come out and start dominating. No Lum. That's huge. Okay. Not a guaranteed win yet, though. So we'll still have to be cautious. Because I think we assume Basculegion is their final Pokemon. I actually kind of wish I had set up Light Screen now for Sinistcha. I think we can bring Steelix in. If it's Sash Basculegion, yeah, we got to be careful of it in the end game. Light of Ruin here could knock out Rotom, but then you just knock yourself out. Stomping will be stronger here because it just failed. I'd rather have Sinistcha in the end game than not. I think I'm okay still going just Light Screen Heavy Slam here. Okay. And they unfortunately miss Light of Ruin, which probably would have knocked themselves out, which I would have been okay with because I was hoping we just knock out both Pokemon this turn. Get Light Screen up, get Heavy Slam off. Yeah, actually we wouldn't have knocked out Garchomp, but that would have been fine as well. It's Citrus Chomp as well. Okay, not a big surprise there. They could double up on a Steelix now, which would be interesting. I think I'm okay going Hydro Pump here. High horsepower covers for a switch. Yep, Light of Ruin. Into Rotom. But with Light Screen up now, we survive that. So they just end up fainting. It would have been close without the Light Screen. Double up onto us. Doesn't even KO Rotom. Wow, so bulky. Hydro Pump hits. Garchomp also survives, but that's fine. High horsepower KOs. Cool. Their last one presumably is Basculegion, right? When Peter's out. I mean, if it's Basculegion, this is still somewhat scary, I think. Because obviously Last Respects is insanely powerful. But this is Sandforce high horsepower Steelix into Basculegion. Oh, but it's the last turn of Sand, so I don't get... That's actually quite bad. Oh, do I still have to predict who Basculegion targets into now? I think I might. Feels like a 50-50, right? Because if it's Sash Basculegion, I don't get the Sash tick, and I only get one knockout here. I think I'm going to protect Sinistcha. High horsepower. Okay, nice. I went for that because Sinistcha is known as a Pokemon to not have Protect as much. So now we win as long as we don't miss Matcha Gotcha. But honestly, I like feel like this game should have been more in my control. I'm trying to like suss out what made it somewhat tricky, and I guess it was the fact that M-Floette gets to come in for free, right? Like I feel like after Light of Ruin knocked out Tyranitar should have been in really great shape, but I guess the reality is they got multiple Light of Ruins off, which is the problem, right? So like getting a light screen up before they're able to get the Light of Ruin up is actually kind of a big deal. So it means that on turn 1, light screen is not intuitive, but could be okay, right? Like light screen rock slide, saying, look, I know I'm going to play towards Steelix anyway. So, because they did miss a Light of Ruin in this game as well, right? And in the end, I still had to go for like a 50-50 and get it right in order to win, which I think is kind of scary in my opinion. So it means that I feel like I probably had a better path to victory. So if you assess what they brought, right? Like Talon, Chomp, Light of Ruin, M-Floette, plus the Sash Basculegion, presumably. Like, we could have tried to get Trick Room up. Although, if I lead Sinistra, it's just threatened by immediate damage, obviously, by Talonflame. It's kind of hard to get Trick Room up, I think, safely in this one. Sneasler plus Sinistra would be the best bet to get Trick Room up, but that feels kind of unintuitive. And the other thing I want to calc is Light of Ruin into our Sinistra. Yeah, as you can see here, Light of Ruin just absolutely demolishes Sinistra. So I don't think we would have been able to get Trick Room up very easily unless we, of course, set up the light screen. If light screen gets set up, then we are able to take this a lot better. So honestly, my learning from that is maybe it is better to just light screen on turn 1, right? Because I think the game feels a lot safer should I get that light screen up. Garchomp obviously might not protect on turn 1, but even if they Earthquake Tyranitar, it's not the end of the world, right? Like, Talon, Chomp plus Light of Ruin, M-Floette coming under Tailwind is very scary, honestly. And, like, Sneasler felt a little bit awkward to bring into this one, right? Otherwise, it's, like, decent into M-Floette, but then I'd have to deny Tailwind. I'd have to get through Garchomp, and ideally, I have Unburden active. So it doesn't feel like it's the easiest Pokemon to actually get going. Maybe Steelix could have been out on the field a little bit earlier, but, yeah. Like, I felt like Tyranitar fainted from Light of Ruin. I was like, oh, I should be in really good shape here, especially with Burnt Garchomp. But I think the reality is a M-Floette that can click Light of Ruin 2 times in a matchup like this, it's actually very strong for them because they're able to just obliterate 2 different Pokemon, right? Which is kind of a big deal, especially with Rotom not being able to protect. M-Floette, Chomp, Charizard, Whimsicott, Gambit, Basculegion. Okay. This is normally try to get Tyranitar boosted multiple times. Although it's not the Glamora version, right? So, like, T-Tar Steelix, I think both should be brought in this one to cover for their Mega Evolutions. Rotom to threaten Garchomp. And then probably Sinistra. Although giving up Sneasler feels a little bit weird because it does threaten with so much damage, right? If I were them, I would probably lead something like Whimsicott Garchomp, probably. Whim's M-Floette is also something to watch out for. I kind of like Rotom Steelix, Tyranitar in the back, Sinistra as the 4th. And so the logic behind Rotom Steelix is that Steelix pressures a one-hit knockout onto Whimsicott immediately. If they lead M-Floette, we pressure the M-Floette as well. It's got Basculegion. Okay. They could just Wave Crash us. It could be adaptability. It's normally going to be Mystic Water these days, I feel like. Basculegion could protect as well. And they could switch into Charizard immediately. So there's a lot of options for them. I'm leaning towards burning Basculegion, Mega Evolve, and just Heavy Slam into Whimsicott. This means, though, that I'm not Megaing Tyranitar, which can make the matchup into Charizard a little bit spookier. So I should be careful. Okay, Bask protects. They just Moonblast us, which makes me think it's going to be Focus Sash Whims. That kind of felt like Fairy Feather damage to me, actually. No, it's Sash. Wow. It's probably just, yeah, Modest Timid Max, which makes sense. So obviously now they pressure with Tailwind. I'm down to Thunderbolt Basket Legion and bring in Sinistcha now to heal Rotom back up. I'm Thunderbolting here because I could see a world in which they switch the Basket Legion out into Charizard, and if I manage to catch Charizard and get a Thunderbolt off into it, that would be really big. I also don't mind Whimsicott being out on the field right now because I actually think it doesn't do that much for my opponent. I think Sinistcha Tyranitar actually could have been a decent lead here as well, and just start Dragon Dancing immediately. I'm still not sure which Mega they committed to, right, as well. Is the other question. Just another Moonblast. Okay, but now into Sinistcha. I'm hoping to see Moonblast Wave Crash here. That was a lot, wow. Faster than Basket Legion. We get Thunderbolt off. Okay, nice. I think Whimsicott wants the Tailwind now, probably. But if you Tailwind, I can just Thunderbolt Trick Room. So I'm down for that. Okay, Bask switches. Nice. So we get Trick Room up. Could be Gambit. Nice. They brought Floette. Okay, huge. Steelix is looking sick right now. And they protect. Beautiful. This is super good for us, I think. Nice. Okie dokie. I don't mind getting a light screen up right now. I think we should still be careful. Well, light screen switching to Steelix is really safe, right? I don't really see too much counterplay to that. Okay. Whim switches. Did they bring Zard as well is the question. Nope, it's Garchomp. Perfect. Okay, we are in great shape right now, I think. Light Screen means I can survive a Light of Room from Floette. I can pressure Will-O-Wisp Garchomp now and just start heavy slamming everything. But I do think it was a little bit dicey to commit to Mega Steelix so early on. It's just like, given that they led Basket Legion, I kind of felt forced to. Dazzle. Cool. Okay, we should be in excellent shape now. Question is whether or not we feel the need to make reads. Right, like Will-O-Wisp into Chomp Heavy Slam here is really safe. And honestly, I'm going to say we don't go for predictions right now. Like, I don't think there's a need to give Floette free damage. Basically, the prediction I would want to make is that I think Protect here is really obvious, so I just target Garchomp with Heavy Slam. But knowing that Rotom's going to be faster under Trick Room and can Will-O-Wisp it anyway, and it hits, nice, is big. So let's see if they're Lumberry. If they're not Lumberry, I think this should really just shut them down pretty heavily. No Lum. Beautiful. Cool. If I'm my opponent now, I'm switching the Floette out. Look how little damage Steelix takes. After it's burned. Wow. Nice. And they end up forfeiting. That felt good. And that was a champion tier player. So, yeah, you could see, you know, the Tyranitar really disincentivizes Charizard from even coming in the first place. And by not bringing Charizard, Steelix is able to just, like, fully run over the game, which felt really, really good. Where's the Charizard on this team? It screams Charizard. It's just Floette over Charizard. The Floette over Charizard is basically kind of like the day one Sun team, right? I mean, I don't mind seeing Floette here because Steelix is obviously going to be really good, but Venusaur is one of the main things to watch out for. We saw how good Venusaur could be into this team in the grand finals of Indianapolis Regionals. Don't know the Venusaur set is the problem. Like, we want to assume Sleep Powder, Grass type attack, Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, and Protect, but you can't run all of those. Do we even bring Tyranitar in this one is my question. The sand is pretty nice. Is my main reason for wanting it. I mean, I feel like Sneasler should be brought out here, right? I'm thinking Sneasler, Rotom, Sinistcha, Steelix. Feels a little bit weird to not bring Talonflame. I actually think maybe it's Sneasler, Talonflame over Sneasler, Rotom here. But I also feel like I need the Rotom to beat the Milotic, which is why I want to bring it. Okay. Don't mind this too much for us. Turn one's already interesting though, right? Do you let me fake out your Venusaur and break a potential Focus Sash? If I were them, I would consider protecting Venu and actually switching Incineroar out immediately. Okay, I want to fake out Venu Hydro Pump. Yeah, they switch. Sneasler in? Floette? It's a good switch. Milotic. Okay, protect Venu. Oh, it's Mega Venu. I should have thought about that more. Yeah, because I was like, where's the Charizard? But yeah, Mega Venu is like actually so clear. Okay. Mega Venu means makes me think I actually should have approached this game with Tyranitar and just Dragon Dance a billion times with it while getting Light Screen up. But I do think Mega Venu is considered one of the tougher matchups. I already know that I'm in really bad shape right now because I didn't bring Talonflame, and that's the answer to Mega Venusaur. So I think this is an example of a game where I might have just lost on Team Preview. It's so funny, like, I'm so conditioned to seeing these teams just with Mega Charizard, so I was like, oh, I'm covering for regular Venusaur, but like, obviously it's going to be Mega Venu. I mean, it could be, like, Focus Sash Venu, but on a team without Sun, like, Mega Venu makes so much more sense. So I needed to cover for the possibility of that, which means I had to bring Talonflame. Let me try to figure out a way to win without Talonflame. I think it's going to be immensely difficult, but it's not impossible. Maybe it starts off with a Dire Claw here into Light Screen. Hoping to see Milotic protect. Yep. And then next turn I double up onto Milotic. Not bad damage. And we get a Para, so yeah, that's not bad. But yeah, I think if I could redo Team Preview, Talonflame needs to come out here. That's the Venu answer. It's Mega Venu, and they have Sleep Powder, and they miss. So that is a pretty darn big deal. If they have Sleep Powder, like, the question is, what is your moveset, right? Because if this Mega Venusaur doesn't have Earth Power, Steelix actually becomes a lot stronger into it. Here, I'm going to just go Close Combat and Thunderbolt into Milotic, taking advantage of their Sleep Powder miss. But they switch. Might be Instinct coming back in. Yeah, good switch. I could have switched out into Sinistcha, maybe, but I don't know about that one. Hydroing into the instant switching would have been pretty sick. But yeah, I think my like brain just didn't process Mega Venu in Team Preview. We're getting pretty lucky with the Paras, so if there's any way in which we win this, it is by getting lucky. That still does so much damage, though. Oh, man. That's not good. Instant Pressure's Fake Out now into either slot. They could Sleep Powder as well. So switch in Sinistcha. If I were them, I'd Fake Out Sneasler, Grass type attack Rotom. Close combat switch out, but basically, like, I think to win this one, I need to KO everything around Venusaur, then slam it with Steelix multiple times with Heavy Slam. Instant does get parried as well, so look, RNG has been on our side, but once again, I'm like, I don't think I'm winning this game unless I get lucky, truthfully, because I did not bring the right Pokemon against Mega Venu, so I'll take it. But yeah, it's totally on me for subpar Pokemon selection, I think. We're doing everything we can, right? But it's a good example of a game of how sometimes VGC can be won or lost in team preview alone. And in this one, like, I don't think I did a... I should have just identified Mega Venu as the secondary Mega. Because I was like, oh, it's like a Charizard team, but with Floette. And no Charizard. Sometimes I think your brain can go on autopilot because of, like, pattern recognition. But as soon as, like, the pattern breaks slightly, you need to start rethinking things, right? Garchomp in. Okay, light screen is still up, but I am at -1 attack. I think for now I want to whittle away at Garchomp. I could see them Sleep Powdering. Like, I'm leaning towards protecting Sneasler and Machagacha. The good thing is they don't have a lot of damage for Sinistcha right now, so I think we can use Sinistcha to, like, slowly chip away at their pieces. Then we'll have Steelix in the endgame against Venusaur. You just click Rock Slide here. Okay, that's fine. I've gotten insanely lucky, honestly, with the para, so, like, if they flinch me, so be it. But no flinch. So we get Machagacha. I will say, actually, to be honest, I would have preferred not paralyzing Venusaur and, like, keep fishing for burns on Venusaur, because I think the burns actually would make a really big difference. Yeah, and they Sleep Powder into us. Okay. I mean, I don't think they have Earth Power on this Venusaur, right? So I could switch Rotom in right now. If I were them, I would protect Garchomp. Sleep Powder, Sneasler. I would really love to get another light screen up in this game. But you know what? I think I'm okay going close combat and Machagacha right now. And they don't protect, which is huge. But we're also not doing that much damage with our attacks. Use Citrus. No Citrus, and they just keep Rock Sliding. Okay, I'm surprised to see Rock Slide over Stomping or Dragon Claw, but I'll take it. And no flinch. Sinistra's been clutch. And we're getting closer and closer. If we burn Garchomp here, that'd be huge, but no burn. And they just Sludge Bomb. Wow, Sneasler made it through the turn. I would not have expected that. I get poisoned, but like I said, I can't really complain. But we've seen Sludge Bomb, Sleep Powder, and Giga Drain, right? My screen wears off. It's not Scarf Chomp. I want to get another light screen up, so I want to protect, expecting protect from Garchomp, get Rotom in. Because I think having Sinistcha healthier in the endgame is going to be important to Machagacha Milotic and deal with it that way. Garchomp just clicks Rock Slide again. Wow. Did they Sludge Bomb the Rotom slot? Okay, nice. I just can't believe Garchomp hasn't protected or switched during any of this and hasn't changed its move. I'm just going to close combat light screen now. Like, surely now it switches, right? But it meant that last turn I could have just gone close combat into... Oh, what? I'm not going to complain because I, like, once again, like, I feel like this matchup on paper should be unwinnable. So we're, like, finding a path to victory, but we're getting lucky, right? Which I kind of need. Okay, Sleep Powder does finally connect on us. But I'm not too upset about how this has played out thus far. I can go Sneasler now out into... Like, I mean, the lack of Earth Power, I think, actually really hurts them here. Because if they had Earth Power, Sneasler and Steelix would just be toast. I can burn a Sleep turn here, but we're at -4. Probably better to switch in Sinistra. Thunderbolt. I think in Pokemon, like, even if it feels like you brought the wrong Pokemon, you should never just, like, give up immediately and try to find a path to victory. So that's what we're trying to do here. They could protect Giga or Sleep Powder right now, but they don't protect, so that's huge. I get Thunderbolt off. It's great damage. They just Scald us. That's fine with Light Screen being up. Giga onto Rotom. Okay, that's fine. I mean, we've gotten ourselves into a pretty decent position, honestly, but let's see if we can close it out. Milotic should protect right now, I think. As you Giga Drain into Rotom. If you do that... Rotom not having Protect, actually. Like, this is actually still kind of dicey because I can't get around that super easily. The question is also Milotic's moveset to me, because can I get a Machagacha off next turn? I could Trick Room here. And get Steelix out under Trick Room, finally. I actually think I like that. Yeah, Trick Room and Thunderbolt here is fine, right? Although this is where the Para on Venusaur now might hurt me. Because now it might mean that they outspeed Sinistra under Trick Room. Touch Bomb Rotom, yeah. I could have switched Steelix in there for Rotom, maybe. And not Trick Roomed. Yeah, actually, I don't know if that was the best play. The problem is, like, Sneasler being asleep here, right? Like, I think we are still maybe cooked here. Going Machagacha. High horsepower onto Milotic. I think, like, Tyranitar would have been a much better pick as a Mega into this as well, right? If I could redo this, I would bring completely different Pokemon, honestly. Like, probably Talonflame, Sinistra, T-Tar. I still have to cover for Floette, I guess. Right, like, it's a call out of, do I want to say they're not going to bring Floette? Oh! Hangs on 1. I think if we get that knockout, we're in okay shape. But now I eat up a Scald, and that's way too much damage in return. Yeah. So close. 1% survival. It still would have been kind of an uphill battle, I think, because, like, high horsepower, it would take multiple to knock out Venu. But that's unfortunate. I mean, it's still playable, though, right? One turn of Light Screen. I burn a turn of Sleep with Sneasler here. The question is whether or not we want to predict Milotic to protect here. And I think I will. Because if you think about it, Venu can't actually damage Sneasler very effectively, right? So if we bait out Milotic protect this turn, next turn I can Heavy Slam knock you out, and then it's a 2v1 against Venu. with Trick Room ending, and then like I can start Dire Clawing. I mean, it's still going to be really tricky, I think. Had I gotten that knockout, though, I actually think we probably win. So I'm happy to have gotten it as close as we did, but this was, once again, like, it's on me for not bringing the right Pokemon in Team Preview. Talonflame is necessary in this matchup. So we're hoping to bait out a Protect from Milotic here. Ah, they don't. Nicely done. Giga into Steelix. I mean, they do double up into Steelix, so okay. Two turns of Trick Room left. I mean, Milotic should protect now, right? Just the fact they didn't last turn makes me want to attack it still. I'm going to go for it, but I do think they should protect here. But they don't, yeah. Okay, I mean, you don't have Earth Power on Venu, so your damage output into Sneasler is actually quite lacking right now. I went for Heavy Slam over High Horsepower there to avoid missing, by the way. Oh, Giga still does a lot, though. Okay. And Sneasler stays asleep. Okay, still looking kind of tough then, I think. The debate is whether or not I want to attack with Steelix here. I actually don't remember Heavy Slam's damage relative to High Horsepower here with Steelix. I'm also running out of your time. Oh, is it 100 or 120? Venusaur's pretty heavy, right? So I would think no. But I have to double check that after this game. That's a lot of damage, honestly. 60%. They Giga Drain. I mean, Sneasler wakes up now, right? So maybe we're okay. Okay, let's see how much Dire Claw does. 65 down to 39. Ugh. Still not going to be... Like, I'm also running out of your time. I need to just make my moves ASAP. But yeah, this one is just clicking Dire Claw, right? They're going to Sleep Powder here. The odds are actually in our favor at this point, I think. Because they need to hit Sleep Powder through Paralysis and get multiple attacks off. But if I eat up a 2-turn sleep and they don't get parried in any turn, I think they win. Yeah, they survive on 9. And they get parried. Wow. That was crazy. I mean, like I said, coming into this one, as soon as Venusaur Mega Evolved, I was like, I'm going to need to get lucky to win this one, and I'm going to need to play well, but I feel like we found the path to victory, even though on paper it felt like impossible. But I got multiple paralysis, right? I mean, the thing is, Venusaur did attack through basically every turn that it was parried until now, but it was just like, that was like the most important turn where we could have been paralyzed, right? So that was a really, really crazy game. But yeah, I think... it's an example of a game how you can win even if you don't bring the right Pokemon, but like I should not have won this one without Talonflame in my opinion. Also, it's not a huge difference in damage and wouldn't have impacted that endgame, but Heavy Slam indeed is stronger than High Horsepower just by slightly more because it's 100 base power. I just didn't know if it was like 100 or 80, which is something that I should have memorized, but I find like with Heavy Slam, it's like you normally learn it by experience, and it's been quite a while since I've used this move from Mega Steelix onto Mega Venusaur specifically, and so I was like, well, if it is 80 power, then it is substantially weaker, and if it's 100, then it should be fine, and I knew it definitely wasn't going to be 120 base power, which is why I clicked it there. But yeah, I mean, normally, obviously, these are things that you should have memorized and want to know immediately off the top of your head. So that's why it's always good to double check after a game's over, because yeah, there was a slightly more optimal play to make. Like I said, don't think it really moves the needle because it's not like the Venusaur hung on with like, 1 to 2%, which would have made the difference here. But yeah. Char, Whimsicott, Garchomp, Arch, Basculegion, King Gambit. Arch is interesting here. I would think Scarf, Sash, not Scarf or Whiter probably. But I don't want to discount Leftovers. Like, it could be used as an anti-rain tech. I'm thinking Rotom T-Tar here. I could flex Mega Steelix, but I think because it's only one Mega as Charizard on my opponent's team, Tyranitar is pretty strong. Could be regular Steelix still. Rotom, T-Tar, Sinistcha. Sneasler, maybe. Why not Sneasler, Tyranitar? Like, what would give me trouble? Scarf, Basket Legion. I kind of like Sneasler, Tyranitar, I think. Oh, I guess Garchomp is the other reason why. Yeah. Okay. Not going to bring Steelix in this one. Don't think it's that strong. Let's see what they got. Archbask. Worried about a double up immediately. Don't know if there's Scarf. Like, I feel like I need to respect the Scarf, right? On Basket Legion. So I'm leaning Protect here. Will-O-Wisp into Basket Legion. But, like, they could so easily double Rotom right now with Wave Crash, Draco Meteor turn 1, which is what I'm worried about. And I just don't know the item on Basket Legion, right? Like, Scarf would make sense on this team. I could be Sash, although Wims could be running Sash as well. But I don't want to just get Wave Crashed immediately is the problem. But they could just Wave Crash Draco Rotom, which is what I would consider doing if I were in their shoes. It is Draco immediately, not Scarf Bask. Okay, White Herb. Yep. It's a pretty good item. Okay, flip turn. That's not terrible then, honestly. Good job, Rotom. What is their set, though, if they're flip turn? And they're not Scarfed? That one confuses me a bit, I won't lie. I'm gonna Dragon Dance here. Hold on to my Mega. Actually, I do think I might want a Mega here because I'm worried that they change moves and like aggressively target Tyranitar down. So I'll Mega, Dragon Dance, and Light Screen. I'm just like a little weirded out by the Basket Legion set. I just like to see flip turn on a non-Scarf set is quite surprising, right? Because you normally want a water type attack, let's like Liquidation or Wave Crash, Last Respects, Aqua Jet Protect. Okay, Rotom faints, but now Arch is at -2. And it should be Sturdy Arch. Okay, they flip turn again, yeah. Because the thing is, if I get a Dragon Dance off, I don't care about losing or winning the Weather War because I'm just going to outspeed your Charizard and Rock Slide you anyway, right? Let's Garchomp. I mean, the thing with Garchomp is now I can bring in Sneasler, fake out Garchomp, Dragon Dance again, I think. Yeah. And then Knockoff just KOs Garchomp. Arch probably wants to switch right now. I don't even know if they brought Charizard in this one. Like, I think it would be better for them to not have brought it. I guess the problem is if you hard switch Arch into Charizard right now and protect Garchomp, then the next turn gets a little interesting. I'd probably double protect. Arch protects. That's great. Okay, amazing. Yeah, like I don't really have to care about Arch because it's at -2 special attack right now, right? So. Okay. Knock off now into Chomp. I think Arch is going to switch out into Basket Legion. Thinking about Dire Clawing here into it. Okay, it does switch. Is it into Bask? Yeah, nice. Should knock out Garchomp. Perfect. Looking decent. Chomp was scarfed. Dire Claw for some more damage. Between Sand and Burn, that should be in Rock Slide KO range. Unless it's Citrus here. Oh, but Citrus won't even activate. Nice. They just forfeit. Okay. Yeah, I just don't know the Basket Legion. Like, flip turn on a non-scarf set. Really surprising. But, take it, I guess. By the way, I wanted to show you why I Mega Evolved Tyranitar on turn 2 of the game after we burned the Basket Legion, because I was like, I don't know what item you're going to have, but it's not going to be Scarf because our Chaladon's faster, so Mystic Water would make sense. But if you are Mystic Water, you can see here, the Mystic Water Wave Crash Burnt can still even knock out our Tyranitar, although it's a really low chance. But that combined with an attack from our Chaladon obviously would get the knockout. So if we end up megaing our Tyranitar here, we do actually take substantially less damage, as you can see here. Although, if it's followed up by a Flash Cannon from Arch, I'm probably still getting knocked out. So that turn, they could have pressured with something like Wave Crash plus Flash Cannon, for example. But it just obviously means that we take less damage should we Mega Evolve. So it was something I was willing to try out there. But yeah, I think often against these teams, if you're able to get a couple Dragon Dances off, the Tyranitar can just absolutely dominate. And you often catch opponents off guard by going for things like +2 knockoff into Garchomp, or, into teams with Corviknight, for example. You just one-shot them at +3. Vivian, Kangaskhan, Blastoise, Farig, Torkoal, Weavile. It's funny to go up against variations of these teams just with, like, one new pick. So the last time we fought against this, our opponent had Vivian, Blastoise, Farig in the back. No Basket Legion to worry about, which I think is good. The Weavile is a wild card here, right? I'm just trying to think, is there any... Because even when I played against this last time, if my opponent clicked Shell Smash on turn 1 on Blastoise, I would have been in bad shape, right? So I'm trying to think, do I have a safer lead? Because Talonflame, Sinistcha, Rotom, T-Tar was the approach. Like, how good or bad is this with Weavile? Like, Weavile Blastoise, I think, is a lead to respect. I'm going with the same as the previous time I purchased matchup, but I actually think Weavile does dramatically change things and could be led with Blastoise. So if they go with Weavile Blastoise, it'll be kind of dicey because it pressures Triple Axle immediately or Shell Smash. Okay, Kangaskhan for a graph. It's not terrible, but it's kind of awkward for us. I can see them going Scrappy Fake Out into Sinistcha turn 1. If they're going with this, then I think it's going to be... I mean, it could still be Mega Blastoise in the back, right? But no Vivian, which means Talonflame becomes less important. So now I just Flare Blitz Kangaskhan and Machagacha to start. We can't Brave Bird here because Farigiraf's Armor Tail blocks it, given that we're at full HP. Okay, they let me just Flare Blitz immediately, so I'll take that. Pretty good damage. Multiple burn chances here. It's Crunch King. Okay, it's less than ideal, I would say. Ooh, that defense drop is really bad. Because with Citrus and Machagacha, I would have healed back a lot. I'm curious if they're Trick Rooming here. Looks like they are. Damage. Burn the Farigiraf. Okay. Burn on King would have been much nicer, but it's whatever. We are basically back up to full, which is nice. And they do Trick Room. Okay. I'm leaning towards Switching T-Tar in right now. Protecting with Sinistra. If you're running Crunch, I don't think you're running Sucker Punch as well, right? So Fake Out, Crunch. King switches into Torkoal. Nice. That's big for us. T-Tar should be in really good shape right now. So we immediately changed the weather into sand after they changed it to sun. Thunderbolt's fine. Okay. So residual damage starting to stack up immediately. The debate I have internally is, do I Mega T-Tar, right? And what do we think our opponent's last one is, given that they Mega Blast, or they Mega Kangaskhan? It's going to be Weavile or Vivillon. Weavile actually makes a lot of sense to me. Like, this turn I can obviously just Mega and Rock Slide. I think I'm down for that. Mega Rock Slide switch in Rotom doesn't feel like there's that much counterplay. I think if there were 2 turns of Trick Room left, I'd consider Dragon Dancing and not Mega Evolving. The reason to not Mega is to, like, hold on for the weather in case they switch Torkoal out and then bring it back in immediately afterwards. But to be honest, Torkoal's matchup into Tyranitar already is pretty subpar. Hoping Hand, okay. Are they trying to knock out Sinistra here? That would be ideal. Yeah, perfect. That's great. Yeah, we just don't take that much from that. Big Rock Slide in return. Fantastic. Okay. Citrus Berry on Frigoraph. No surprise there. Debating if I want to switch in Sinistra right now. I would love to get a Dragon Dance on this T-Tar. Oh, they just end up forfeiting. Okay. That game was, like, kind of far from over, but I had built up a really big lead. And I'm glad to have showcased the Kangaskhan Frigoraph mode of these teams, because we obviously showed off Blastoise Vivillon, and I showcased how to beat both of those, right? So, yeah. They were going to be in really bad shape after that turn, unless they had, like, because it's like you couldn't knock out either of my Pokemon, right? Trick Room is ending, so you kind of feel forced to switch. But at that point, Frigoraph, Torkoal, and Kangaskhan are all at, like, 35%, right? So Rock Slide plus Sand plus Burn can just knock those out. Main question is what their final one was, because I think, like, Vivillon or Weavile can still match up pretty well into Tyranitar. But yeah, our advantage was just too large there at that point, so I can see why they forfeited. Super similar matchup to the one that we saw in the finals, but there's no Venusaur or Garchomp, which were both 2 of the most crucial members of that match, which hopefully makes things a little bit easier for us. But it's still M-Floette, so I want to go T-Tar Steelix. T-Tar Steelix. Talonflame I think is necessary into teams like this, and ideally we position it out where we can get a Brave Bird, and then it's probably Sinistra 4th. Although you can make an argument for Sneasler. I think I'm down for T-Tar, Steelix, Talonflame, Sinistra. Getting a Swords Dance off with Talonflame is going to be big on this one. Oh, that's Sneasler. So they pressure Fake Out. They pressure Close Combat. Switch Talon in. Protect Steelix is what I lean towards, because then turn 2 I pressure Brave Bird, Heavy Slam. I could see them just going all in and, like, doubling up on Steelix turn 1, Close Combat, Light of Ruin into it. Steelix protects. Okay, fake out into protect. I mean, it could be Calm Mind now, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Like, if you're my opponent now, I think what you do is you switch Sneasler out into Incineroar and protect Floette. So I want a Swords Dance. Mega, high horsepower Sneasler, expecting Incin. It could be Sinistcha as well. Okay, nice. Theoretically, Floette could just attack here, but I think it's a huge risk. And if they attack, then kudos to them, right? Because, like, I obviously pressure with Heavy Slam, even with Intimidate. Perfect. Okay. Really good turn. So next turn is the interesting one, right? Because if you're my opponent, you know you're exerting fake out pressure, but what you could do is just like switch in your Sneasler. Like, I kind of want to just attack with both, to be honest. Great Bird and Heavy Slam Floette. Okay, they do just kind of go for the obvious fake out into Steelix, which I'm fine with. Thought about Swords Dancing again there with Talonflame. Close. 2 ticks of sand get it, right? And they're not draining Kissing either. Does this KO us in return? Probably. Yeah. However, I think now there's a Sinistcha switching that's likely imminent. Oh, it's 7%. They hang on for one more tick of sand. Maybe I should have just protected both Mons there then. I don't know how fast the Floette is the other question. I think we bring in Tyranitar here. The fact it's exactly 7% is a bummer. It's Moonblast, Calm Mind. Once again, I just don't know how fast Floette is because they could be super slow, but normally with Calm Mind Floettes, like people are running Modest Max or even Timid Max. Sinistcha switching in is a possibility, right? As you protect Floette. So I'm thinking of Dragon Dancing here. Dragon Dance Heavy Slam is like a middle ground play. Yep. Hoping they protect. Nice. Okay, that's big. Last turn of Sandstorm. -1, +1. Leaning Rock Slide Heavy Slam here. Honestly, if I were my opponent, I think I'm switching Floette out into Incineroar right now and going for Matcha Gotcha. Is it crazy to Dragon Dance again? That is my question. I still think it's a little crazy. Okay, Rock Slide Heavy Slam. But they do switch. Maybe it was worth going for. I don't know. We knock out Incin, which is big. They could Trick Room here, but I don't think that benefits them. And we flinch Sinistcha, which is huge. I assume they're just going for Matcha Gotcha there. It's a lot of damage. No more Sandstorm. No more Intimidate. Sneasler hits the field. Obviously, they could close combat. I think here I don't mind protecting Tyranitar, switching Steelix in. Or, sorry, switching Steelix out, because Sneasler shouldn't do very well in the Sinistcha, so I just don't want to give them the opportunity to close combat either Pokemon. I think the main thing about the flinch is that it prevented Machagacha burns, which is a big deal. Fake out. Okay. Trick Room, Machagacha, Shadow Ball, Life. Okay, Life Dew. Life Dew is fine, though, I think. Yeah. I can go knock off into Sinistcha now. Rage Powder. And then I can Trick Room with Sinistcha and Steelix under Trick Room should win, I think. If they have Life Dew on Sinistcha, I'm thinking they don't have Protect. It could be Life Dew, Rage Powder, Machagacha, Protect, and no Trick Room though, but Trick Room is just so good. But I feel like my predictions were quite good in this one, so I'd be sad if we lost. Dire Claw into us, crits us, that's fine. No status condition, good. Cool, one shot Sinistcha. That comes out. I know I can take a close combat from... So here's the thing, because they crit us, like I'm going to click Rock Slide with T-Tar, but as you saw, the speed interaction, like I can just Rock Slide Rage Powder. I think that's our best bet instead of going for the Trick Room angle. Basically, at +1s, Tyranitar doesn't outspeed Sneasler. They protect Floette, which I think is the right play. I don't want to give them the chance to close combat, but here they could just Dire Claw, of course, but we know we'll survive that. And basically, my win con is like Rage Powder again, you Dire Claws again, Rock Slide keeps adding up residual damage on Sneasler, and then I just am able to... okay, misses there, but that's fine. I would knock off here, I just am not confident in it knocking out Floette, but I think Rock Slide should. If I Trick Room there that last turn, I probably would have won the game, but I can't risk Floette actually attacking, I think, because with no Sandstorm up, Dazzling Gleam is too strong. So we're just going to keep Rage Powdering. Perfect. Yeah, they try to greet us here, and we don't miss. Nice. That should be game over. Ooh. Okay. I'm just trying to see if there's a way to guarantee this win. Knowing that I could miss with Tyranitar, but yeah, they end up forfeiting. I mean, truthfully, I think we just like Rage Powder, switch in Steelix, Rage Powder, Heavy Slam, and that's probably good enough. But I wanted to cover for a world in which they get like status conditions with Dire Claw and crit close combat onto Steelix. But that one felt pretty satisfying. Like, I feel like, yeah, the play was really solid, and we managed to nail a lot of the switches, which is what you often have to do into these setup-oriented teams, right? I just featured Sejum Park's double setup team with Mega Floette, Mega Delphox, and having played with that team a good bit, one of the things I learned is just like often your opponent has opportunities to make big reads and just get ahead in the game. It felt like I was in really good shape, but I think Talonflame not knocking out Floette still made things kind of awkward, but getting that Dragon Dance off with Tyranitar was huge for us. Incin, Gambit, Garchomp, Sneasler, Wims, Floette. So another Wims team here. Steelix, I like. If we get Trick Room up, Steelix under Trick Room looks good. Like I ideally have the sand for it. Wims Floette is one lead to watch out for. I think Sneasler, Floette, Incin Chomp, Sneasler, Chomp. There's a lot of actual leads to worry about. I like Sneasler. Sneasler Rotom doesn't feel too bad here, I think. Get some early setup going for Steelix. Tyranitar is pretty bad here, honestly, because its offensive coverage is lackluster, so I actually think we don't bring it. And I think we go Sinistcha as the fourth. I do think Talonflame is acceptable here because with the sword stance, it can acrobatics a lot. And one of the things we haven't done so far was like cycle Sinistra in to keep reactivating Gale Wings. Instant Floette. Okay, fine by me. So Sneasler's obviously in great shape here. I think if you're my opponent, you probably don't want to trade Fake Outs on turn 1. But you have to respect Dire Claw into Floette immediately. I'm leaning Fake Out Floette here and just Light Screen. But part of me just wants to attack with Sneasler, right? Like, I could close combat instant immediately. If I were them, I'd probably protect Floette, switch instant out into Whimsicott. Fake Out Light Screen's pretty safe. I'm actually down to close combat Light Screen. But Floette does Mega Evolve. Oof. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should have just gone with the kind of more obvious safe play here on turn 1. They Fake Out Rotom, which makes sense to me. I guess, like, probably what they're going for here is, like, you know that your Floette's going to survive a Dire Claw. We survive. But that wasn't a good trade on turn 1, right? If I went Fake Out into Floette, we would get some chip damage onto it, then be able to Light Screen maybe in the subsequent turn. But I have Sinistra in the back, right? So I can heal up. I don't mind going Dire Claw here into Incineroar. And getting Steelix in. Because if we eliminate Incineroar, Steelix obviously should be in good shape into this matchup. Dire Claw also covers for instant switching out into Whimsicott. They do switch, but what is coming in? Garchomp. Okay, that's not as ideal. You get a status condition in Paralysis. Okay. But I faint from Revskin, so Steelix is actually going to take a reasonable amount of damage here because it's not Mega Evolved. Yeah, I think on turn 1, maybe just Fake Out into Floette is fine. Then try to get Light Screen up afterwards. I mean, I actually think this is still okay for us. If I were them, I would be pivoting Incineroar in right now to get an Intimidate off into Steelix. So I don't mind Trick Rooming here. Trick Room, Mega, Heavy Slam. It could be Floette into Instant here, but I want to force them to make the move. And it's Garchomp switching, okay? Nice. But yeah, I don't know if I love how I approach this. I think mainly from turn 1, because I felt like I had a pretty big advantage with my lead. But I was worried where I Fake Out into Protect Light Screen, they bring Whimsicott out, and suddenly Encore pressure exists on both slots. They actually Calm Mind here. Whoa, okay. Well, I don't have our ability active, so I don't think we knock it out, but should do a ton of damage still. I thought they would have, like, I don't know, max HP, max defense or something, given that they went for the Calm Mind, which felt kind of greedy. But nice. That's why you use Steelix, folks. Okay, so Garchomp in. I mean, honestly, I think I just double protect here. What could their last one be? Let's think about that first. Sneasler, Gambit, Whims. Probably not Whimsicott. If it was Whimsicott, you could have brought it out to pressure Encore. Yeah, I'm happy to just double protect here and then high horsepower Machagacha. Cool. Bait out protect from Garchomp. Garchomp crucially is out faster than us now since we got that Dire Claw para. Try to taunt into us, but would be clicking Machagacha anyway. So Machagacha, high horsepower. This would be not a bad time for them to switch Instant out, honestly. But they don't. So we nailed the Instant with high horsepower. Oh, they just Earthquake. Nice play. You can see Steelix doesn't really take that much damage from that. Cool. Go for Machagacha. This game still isn't one if King Gambit's their last one, I think. It is Whimsicott. Whoa, okay. Well, then I think it's one. As long as I don't mess up. 2 turns of Trick Room left. The main thing to note is that they could Encore Steelix right now. I don't mind just clicking Machagacha, switching Rotom in. Yep. And the Earthquake again. Perfect. The Whims is why I was afraid of the turn 1 just going for the obvious fake out light screen, by the way, right? Because I would have considered protecting switch Whims in for... Oh, we missed Garchomp. Okay, that's a little bit spooky. But I think it's fine. I think it's going to be really tough for them to get through Sinistcha plus the Steelix. And they just end up forfeiting. The game wasn't 100% won yet. Like, I think we were in really good shape because Sinistcha can just keep healing with Machagacha and dishing out damage, right? But I think, yeah, it was, like, not 100% won yet for me. That game actually pushed us to champion tier, by the way, so it was pretty cool to be able to feature the Steelix team right after regionals, win, what, 10, 11 games with it in a row, and make it to champion tier. It's a really fundamentally solid team, and I think what makes it so powerful is, first of all, its matchups into the common meta stuff, right? Like, we played a lot of Whimsicott, Charizard, Floette teams in this one, and we're able to basically beat all of them. Now, once again, we didn't run into the version that won in Indie Regionals, which had Venusaur as well as the Instant Sinistcha combo, which is a slightly newer take on that archetype, right? So I think against like the more standard Whimsicott Charizard stuff that has been popular, yeah, this team just has like an incredible matchup into. And then you just have so much defensive pivoting with Sinistcha as well as Rotom being able to consistently heal back up with Hospitality. Of course, Talonflame with Swords Dance can exert a lot of offensive pressure as well. So yeah, this team is obviously insanely impressive. Okay, we've got an opposing Sand team here, which can be a little bit spooky. To beat Corviknight, we either get Tyranitar to +3 attack. Like, I think Rotom is necessary, T-Tar is necessary, probably Steelix, and Sinistcha. Rotom. Could be Sneasler, but just so hard to actually get attacks off with it, I think. Okay, I'm going to try Rotom, T-Tar, Steelix, Sinistcha. Maybe it should not be T-Tar. No, but because they have Corviknight, like I think I need T-Tar to potentially threaten it with +2 or +3 knockoff. I think opposing Sand can be tricky because they do have a lot of super effective threats, right? Chomp Rotom. I think their Rotom's a pretty big problem for us. I want to ideally start off the game by burning Garchomp and protecting T-Tar, but they might just protect their Garchomp. It's Mega Chomp. Okay. I mean, I don't mind that, truthfully, because I think what we do this next turn is pivot T-Tar out into Sinistcha and just start healing with Machagacha. Good Dragon Claw. They might be doubling up into me, but I should still survive. Good job, Rotom. I don't think we've missed Will-O-Wisp yet today, which is Rotom redeeming itself for its failures. Okay, good. I mean, to be honest, I think like a burnt Chomp is really not that effective, especially now that I can bring in Sinistra for healing. So I'm happy to go Thunderbolt into Rotom. We want to take care of Rotom because it beats both of our Megas pretty handedly. So far, I don't feel like Talonflame would have contributed anything to the matchup, so I'm glad we dropped that. And I think Sneasler feels kind of awkward into this, so I'm also happy we dropped that. Beautiful. Like, don't discount Sinistra as an offensive member of this team. Matcha Gotcha's adding up and doing 20 to 30% consistently while you heal back is a big deal. There's a crit in that did like 20%. Nice. Okay, trying to split our damage here. Maybe I would like setting up Light Screen more there, but given that we're faster than the Rotom, I think now I can just Light Screen Matcha Gotcha. Feels fine. Okay. Yep, they switch. That's fine. Into their own Sinistra, which I'm okay with. I think we have a pretty big advantage right now because, like, we will have Mega Steelix, right? And we've set up screens. Or light screen. I'm able to start adding up residual damage with Matcha Gotcha from my own Sinistra. Burn at any point on a Sinistra would be deadly as well. Cool. I just think, like, the main thing I'm debating about right now is we could just go Mega T-Tar and try to Dragon Dance up, because now the Garchomp's been neutralized. The other thing I'm debating about is maybe sacrificing Rotom, because I don't want to switch one of these in and get burnt immediately. And I think Rotom's kind of done his job, honestly. So I'm down a Hydro Pump into Garchomp, even though I don't expect to actually get it off, and Matcha Gotcha. I could Rage Powder here, but yeah, they've got Rock Slide. I don't even think that KOs us. Nice. Oh, this is like the clutchest Rotom ever. Like, this is definitely not the one from previous generations. I'm telling you, the Pokemon you get in the ranch, they're juiced up. Random Faints. But yeah, I think now we just bring in T-Tar. I just am debating with T-Tar. Do I Mega it immediately? Garchomp faints from Burn, which is fantastic. Okay. Corviknight's probably in the back. We know Rotom Wash could come in for my opponent right now, but you probably don't want to bring that out. I think I'll go Tyranitar here. Because I pressure with Knockoff immediately into Sinistra right now. It's going to be Excadrill. Okay, that's fine. Last turn of Sandstorm. Steelix would have been a better Brine as the switch in here, but I wanted to cover for Corv, because if they brought Corv, I could start just Rage Powder and setting up. I think here I'm down to Protect and Matcha Gotcha. Every time I click Matcha Gotcha, it just fishes for burns, right? And I'm not going to take much damage from them. Good prediction, though. They Iron Head into us. Okay. But Citrus activates. Yeah, I'm just debating if I want to Dragon Dance this next turn. It does burn our Sinistcha, which is a little bit spooky, but if, you know, we're both clicking Matcha Gotcha so much, obviously a burn is bound to happen. I think it would have been smarter for me. We actually burn Excadrill. That, I feel like, should win us the game, honestly, just by itself. Truthfully. No more Sandstorm. I was going to say, I think it could have been smart for me to have not Mega or Mega Evolve last turn, just so I don't give Excadrill the Sand right now, but I also think it's fine to just knock off now. Yeah, and I think they recognize with the burn, they have no chance. But to be honest, even without the burn, I think we were in excellent shape because, like, Excadrill isn't one-shotting me anytime soon. T-Tar threatens a knockout the following turn. Machagacha's a 3-hit knockout onto Excadrill, and they can't knock out the Sinistcha very easily. Like, Sinistcha in itself is a huge offensive tool of the team. And even though they predicted that turn right, like, it doesn't really matter, right? Because I think we had built up a big enough advantage. It's like Aerodactyl has literally gone extinct, so now we're finally seeing one with Sylveon, Gambit, Garchomp, Charizard, Farigiraf. T-Tar, Steelix, Sinistcha, Rotom, I think, in some order. Aerodactyl plus Charizard is one lead to respect because they could have Wide Guard. Not knowing whether... Like, I think we need to play assuming that they do have Wide Guard, but it does make things a little bit trickier for us, in my opinion. But I think I can go T-Tar Rotom then. Sinistcha. Because they have Farigiraf, I want to bring Steelix, but... yeah. If I bring Talonflame, then the Farigiraf is a pretty big problem for us, right? Charizard Chomp, okay. It's fine by me. I think the main thing is on turn 1, you know, does Charizard protect? Or do they just rip Mega Evolution Solar Beam? Most of the times, players are not going to protect Charizard here on turn 1. So, like, the play I'm leaning towards is protecting Tyranitar, Will-O-Wisp being Garchomp. But they could play super aggro here and say, you know what, I'm just going to Mega Evolve, Solar Beam, Dragon Claw your Rotom. If they do that, kudos to them. I also think Double Protect is an acceptable play from their end here on turn 1. So Light Screen could give us some advantage. Ideally, it's like Charizard protects, Tyranitar protects. They either Earthquake or Dragon Claw the Rotom. I burn the Garchomp. Oh, wow. They went for it, yeah. They just Mega Evolve immediately in the face of Tyranitar, so nicely done. That gives them a pretty big advantage. I'm assuming it's going to be Solar Beam into Rotom, and so the fact they called this is very, very strong by them. Oh, wow. It's okay. Outrage Heat Wave, but that's fine. Rotom survives the Heat Wave. So I actually am totally okay with how this played out. But that was risky, right? It burns us, whatever. Okay, once again, in our Shuka games, I don't think Rotom's missed a Will-O-Wisp so far. So this Pokemon feels like the best Pokemon in the format if you don't miss. Okay. I mean, yeah, now we've burnt you. Like, yeah, you have Outrage, but that's fine. I think we just give up Rotom here. I'm going to Mega Evolve Mega Dragon Dance. And if for some reason they let Rotom get an attack, like I could see Charizard switching and then Garchomp outraging, targeting T-Tar, then I'd get Light Screen up, but turn 1 could have been a lot worse if they Solar Beamed, right? It's just really risky to Mega Charizard in the face of T-Tar on turn 1. Outrage goes into T-Tar this time, but you're burnt, so it doesn't do that much damage. That's a slow Charizard. What? It's already slower than Tyranitar pre-Dragon Dance? That's kind of nuts. Wow. Okay. Fine by me. I can bring in Steelix. I think we like Sinistcha more here. I'm down to Dragon Dance again right now, because I think Charizard switches and Matcha Gotcha. Like, it would be wild to just stay in and attack with Charizard here. But maybe they do it because they're like, hey, I'm not going to get any more value. They do it. Wow, okay. It's Scarf Chomp, by the way. But, like, I'm fine with this because now... Like, I don't think Charizard's KOing us with a Heat Wave anyway, right? So unless you have Overheat, it's fine. Okay. It was Hurricane and Sand. I see. Well, that's nuts. I'm gonna just Rock Slide Heavy Slam here. They're, you know, already... I could Wide Guard here, I think, as well. But I'm kind of down to just try to get a double knockout right now. I mean, I guess I should have gone for maybe Rock Slide there that last turn. But I don't know. I'm never going to anticipate Hurricane in the sand of all things. But they could have Overheat, which is a more consistent way to knock out Sinistcha that I could respect and cover for. Also, because they're kind of playing like a madman, right? Like, just based on their turn 1 play alone, them staying with Charizard suddenly does feel a lot more feasible. But yeah, they just stay in with both here. So we pressure with the double knockout in return. Let's see if Garchomp can attack through Flinch as well as Confusion. The classic Para-Flinch. Does manage to attack through. Another Outrage. But we should knock out Garchomp in return. We don't, but it'll faint from burn, so that's fine. Although, Sturdy getting broken is a little unfortunate. But I mean, T-Tar right now is a nuke, right? It can one-shot most things. I just can't believe we saw Hurricane in Sand land on Sinistcha. Oy. Oh, also, yeah, it made no sense to click Wide Guard there because they're Scarfed, right? So if we're going to knock out Charizard, there's no need. And we knew they were Scarfed because they outsped Tyranitar at +1 with Dragon Dance. Sylveon, Gambit, Aerodactyl. Ideally, it's just Aerodactyl plus Sylveon, because then you just can't even hit Steelix. The way Steelix shakes, like, it's so funny to me. But yeah, it's funny because, yeah, Hurricane. Okay, it's Gambit, which is a little bit scary. And Sylveon. This game is definitely not won yet, especially with it bringing Supreme Overlord. Like, I think I lean Protect Tyranitar, High Horsepower Gambit here. Ideally, Sylveon protects. Because the other play I could have made was Heavy Slam into Sylveon. They could just Hyper Voice Low Kick Steelix is the thing here. I don't know if that knocks out, but with Supreme Overlord, it might. Okay, nice. That's big. Oh, they just protect everything. I think I just click Rock Slide here, but I don't know. I don't think +2 Rock Slide's KOing. Like, I'm going to go Rock Slide High Horsepower here. I could Wide Guard. Ooh. Are they Sucker Punching here as well? Does that KO us? Ha! I did not think that double would knock out. That is sick. And I assume High Horsepower is not going to knock out King Gambit here because we're not Mega, so... Wow. That is pretty sick. Supreme Overlord is like what elevated things to the top there, right? Because normally you would not get that knockout with Sucker Punch. And yeah, base Steelix is just too weak now. Oh, we even survive. But I unfortunately needed one extra attack off in this game. Yeah, I think maybe the turn that I stayed in with Sinistra and let them Hurricane me was bad, but, like, I don't know. Once again, like, Hurricane is so wild there, and I think a Gambit switch in there feels so strong, right? So I don't regret playing the game the way that I did. And then the double up on a T-Tar was really nice. I mean, given that they were sucker, like, if I had gone Dragon Dance and Heavy Slam, that could have worked out, right? But I wasn't even, I didn't think Quick Attack and even the Supreme Overlord Sucker Punch would get the knockout there. So, yeah. The streak finally comes to an end, but it was against some cool attacks, right? Like, Outrage. Like, for my opponent of the conviction to Mega Charizard on turn 1, to click Outrage immediately, you know, Hurricane landed also. I think the Outrage targeting ended up being quite accurate as well, right? Like, Tyranitar ate up a bunch of them. Because if Tyranitar has any more HP at the end of that end game, you don't get to go for the Quick Attack Sucker Punch combination, right? So, yeah. But, you know, they had the conviction to attack with Charizard against Tyranitar on turn 1, called it out correctly, and then stayed in and went for Hurricane, which I think kind of won them the game, because if Sinistra just makes it through that turn, I think we're also in really good shape, because then it just keeps protecting the Tyranitar from the big threats, right? So, honestly, some super interesting techs. You don't see that frequently, including Outrage as well as Hurricane, and the Supreme Overlord, which I would say is a little bit more common, but still not the most common ability on King Gambit. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me. And, of course, a huge congratulations and thank you to Wolfe for building and sharing the team. Like I mentioned, I think that this team is not just, you know, a crazy Wolfe creation in the sense that, like, no one else is going to be able to use it. And I actually think it's going to be a meta staple moving forward. There's a lot of really powerful sets on the team, especially the Rotom Wash, which I think will become more used as time moves forward. And, you know, the combination of, like, Will-O-Wisp, Light Screen, as well as Leftovers, Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, plus Sinistra Healing just was not used on a lot of compositions before this team, and I think like that in itself is kind of like meta defining. Dragon Dance Tyranitar is obviously an absolute beast, and Steelix, when you bring it out in the right matchups, is just an absolute monster as well. So I think the last time we went on such a long win streak was actually the Sableye Archaludon team, so it's a testament to how powerful this composition is, right? Had a lot of fun piloting it, so thanks so much as always for watching, and I'll catch you all soon. All right, peace.